All right, for those just tuning in, we just finished up our matchup between the Necrons and the Space Marines.
Space Marines, call them what they are. DeathWatch and the Librarius Conclave.
And me with the Starshatter with the final score. Necrons 77 to a DeathWatch 82. Close game, 5-point game.
Oh, it was a crazy game.
5-point game. Anything swift that the other way. Not getting the mark for death, boom, tie game right there. So very close game. A lot of takeaways from it. Started off with the DeathWatch. 4-up invuln was rough.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference when you're coming out with a bunch of high AP stuff. Again, Necrons have a combination of ludicrously high AP, high strength, flat 4 or 6 damage type stuff. But then also you guys have just a ton of high volume AP 0 stuff that they can put out a lot. So I was more concerned about those heavy destroyers that had that high volume shot. To pick them up as soon as I could, which I think was the right call there. But yeah, you definitely have a lot of stuff, and it just even the fewer shots, the higher value shots, still whittled down the squads. Every time I lose a Terminator, it makes me sad. So, but yeah, it's definitely the +1 to hit on objectives didn't come up much in this game.
No, you stayed off them for the most part.
But I stayed behind them. A lot of times it depends on the deployment and the mission and the terrain. Sometimes you can just be on 2 objectives for most of the game and no one see you. I played against this, not you, but someone playing Starshatter in a tournament a couple weeks ago, and it's similar. I was able to have 2 guys just holding objectives that were completely out of sight, so they couldn't be shot, and then I just pushed forward with the rest of my army, staying off the objective. So it's something you can play around, but that enhancement to reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound is really strong. Plus the
combined with the king.
Yeah, combined with the assault on the vehicles and everything, and being able to go through walls came in big.
Yeah, that was
a stratagem for a CP, but being able to fly a vehicle through a wall, that comes in big sometimes.
Yeah, I was able to get that Doomsday Arc in position so I could get that mark for death target. That Overwatch was huge, and that's something that we were discussing. And when that happened, I was like, "This is a big problem." I did not anticipate the Overwatch taking out the Locust Heavies with the Exterminator, and that really put me behind because my plan was I was going to try to move heavily into center, move the king up into center, move everything into there, and oversaturate it where it's like, yeah, you could hit the king now, but all this stuff is just, there's so much here. I even went the route of going -1 damage on them to try to make them even tougher to remove and put them in a position to shoot at your Marines that were behind the wall. Unfortunately, that Overwatch picked up the Locust Heavies to the guy, and I wasn't able to do that. The plan was move the Reanimator up there, pop the Resurrection Orb, get the D6, get the guy back, get the additional D3, full squad up there. That Overwatch was really big. Their Overwatch really kind of let me, learning this army and figuring stuff out with it, it left me very confused and not really sure on how I was going to do things from that point, and I could never get ground on center. Granted, it was kind of difficult for you to move to center too, because I had 2 Doomsday Arcs that were just salivating and waiting for you to move there and just go here, right in the crossfire. But yeah, I think I got myself a little mixed up there. The 1 Doomsday Arc off by itself, I liked having the firing lane, but at that point I probably should have separated with the Catacomb over there and tried to kind of put more towards holding those 2 firing lanes than I did, or just get everything over on this side. So I think I was kind of a little out of place with that. I was relying a little too much on just the Doomsday Arc's just base stats, which it needed a bit more behind it. When I did get my big 8-shot round turn, I rolled a lot of 1s in there. That could have been a reroll.
It's kind of the opposite of Space Marine heavy shooting. A lot of times you've got your high AP and your high strength and your flat damage, but a variable number of shots. For Space Marines, their shooting is kind of moderate number of shots, moderate AP, and then a variable damage roll. Like my Cyclone missiles, who knows? I could roll a bunch of 1s or a bunch of 6s. It totally changes the math on it.
Or do 10 damage to 1 Ophidian Destroyer.
Yeah, I slapped them a little bit there at the end with the Cyclones. But I definitely liked the way you just get a lot more efficiency from the units, with especially in the divination discipline, where we're rerolling one's hit and one's the wound. The Fortis team getting +1 to hit, and then when it's below full strength, +1 to wound. Combining +1 to hit, +1 to wound with rerolling ones to hit, and rerolling ones to wound, it gets pretty efficient.
Yeah.
And most of that unit has AP2, AP3 stuff in it, so it gets pretty efficient. Not real high damage stuff, other than a couple super crack missiles, maybe 2 damage in the plasmas. But it definitely adds up and makes something more reliable, less swingy.
A lot of it was, I think we were both kind of waiting because we both had a lot of resilience. And we were just waiting for that moment where one of us had some bad dice rolls on armor saves and something to break. And that really didn't happen very much. Our saves were kind of where the dice went hot. Your 4-up invulns, I'd shoot into that and get 6 wounds and go, oh, 2 dead. Okay, that's it from it. So that was definitely pretty big.
That's weird. You don't like shooting at 4-up invulns, DJ?
Yeah, not really. Not gonna lie. But it definitely weaned a lot of my firepower to be able to push back those Marines that I should be able to shred easily. So that was difficult. Losing the fallback and shoot enhancement actually mattered. So I'm going to reconsider that in the future. I thought it was kind of something of just like, oh, we can deal with this and have it when we could do and this, that, and the other. If I had had that still alive on the field, it would have changed a lot of aspects of the game. So that's
but especially when I got Doomsday Arc bracketed and he was locked in combat, and even if he stayed still with his heavy, he's still -1 because he was basically -2 to hit. -1 from bracketing, -1 from being in combat. Even with a +2 for +1 from heavy, he was still -1 to hit. So
yeah, it mattered a little more in this sense of it, especially with the DeathWatch kill teams being able to advance and charge. Makes me think a little bit about a combat aspect. I don't want to go the route of a Catan, but it makes me think about a combat aspect, and then it also just makes me think I need to get more reps with this. This is a completely out of my wheelhouse, and that's another big thing. I'm not 100% sure if I want to go into Starshatter, because this is not really my style of list. Not really my play style or my army style.
It's more my style.
Yeah, right. It is more
sheer destruction. Yeah,
just shoot.
If I were to play Necrons, it'd probably be Starshatter.
Yeah, and I'm not really 100% sure. I kind of need to take some time, think about it. I do definitely want to start. I need to start getting a competitive roster ready to roll. But I'm not sure if the Starshatter is going to be the detachment for me. Just for me. I know it's having success and a lot of people are running it and having a lot of success with it. But I'm not sure if that's mine. Like, the Silent King out of this, with just how I played him, there was not really much of a benefit from anything. I didn't really hit him with any strats. I didn't really use anything for him. He just kind of did his Silent King thing, which was nasty. I mean, he really definitely carried his weight this game.
Yeah.
Picked up a lot. The Reanimator did well. As much as the Reanimator, when only having that 3-inch range, he did a lot. I mean, he was resilient.
Well, I got that Doomsday Arc down to 2 wounds. So if he hadn't given him his extra reanimation when he did reanimate there before, you would have lost him. So it kept the Doomsday Arc alive a lot longer than it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, but in some aspects, like I almost just like I look at this, I almost kind of want to go back to Canoptic Court, where I have the full rerolls and I don't have to work as hard, it feels like. So I kind of, there's a part of me that kind of wants to go back.
I mean, you've got a lot more practice with that, obviously.
Yes, it's true.
We know you know how to play Canoptic Court. You have your list pretty dialed in there.
Ish. Yeah. I think my secondary game's weak. I need to fix that up a bit for Canoptic Court. This one, it's just tough. Going to a GT and playing 5 games of it, I'm not 100% sure. Like, in some ways, it's nice because if I do get a matchup where I can just absolutely obliterate someone on the table, then it's a fast, easy, thoughtless game. But in games like this, where it's coming down to the wire and everything like that, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy that as much as I would enjoy another army. So I got to look at the detachment more.
This was also the deployment and train was the anti-shooting deployment / terrain.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Hammer and anvil with these lines, basically, just like it was very hard to get shooting lanes on anything.
And it's going to be something I've been dealing with for a bit because we'll be leaving this. This is going to be the terrain we do for a couple of games. So.
Yeah, well, even a more angled deployment or something. Hammer and anvil just makes this kind of a wild thing for a shooting army. If we're going to stay with this, I'm going to bring Blood Angels or something that's going to do combat. I'm going to run through these walls and punch things. But yeah, it definitely, all that has an effect. So if you had a better shooting lanes, it's probably the worst setup for shooting armies. And my army was mostly shooting too. I didn't have any uppy downies. I did have good deep strikes, but you blocked me out, so I couldn't. I stayed on my half of the board pretty much the whole time, other than when the jump intercessors went and finished off the Psychomancer, because I hate that guy. But no, other than that, we pretty much stayed on our own sides of the board for the most part.
I mean, I got Ophidians in your backfield messing with you.
Yeah.
The Locust Heavies, I ran up along the side. I was going to do the same thing, try to behind enemy lines them and just run in the corner with them. But, I mean, there is part of me that looks at this and goes, okay, what if I just go King, Arc, and a combat aspect? And have something that's able to get out there, charge, slow things down, something like Scorpex. Because now that I said we didn't get on each other's sides, I did push the DeathWatch veterans with the Watchmaster over here and do some damage to that. You need some kind of combat aspect that can go through a wall. Do you think it's Scorpex? Well, Scorpex, so with the detachment ability, I'd still get +1 to hit on units on objective markers. So that's good. Number 2, they're infantry, so I can hit them with the Catacomb Command Barge Resurrection Orb. And number 3, they would be able to be targeted by the strat for the reactive move. So a 6-man squad gets shot at, I lose 1, I can go and D6-inch move them and possibly get them behind a wall or get them out of line of sight. Yeah,
it's a little more risky when it's D6 inches, but
it's still it's still something I could go into with it.
Well, it's after you get shot too, so you combine with pulling a couple models with and moving them. You can kind of pull the models in a way that makes it so you can move them out of sight.
And then there's also another aspect I was considering is taking a lot of that out of there. Like I said, just go down to the King and the 2 Doomsday Arcs, and then go into a Xeris build. Bring Xeris in, bring a couple squads of Immortals in there. The Immortals will get +1 to hit when going at units on objectives, and then their ability is already for units on objectives. So it might be that's something I consider going into. It is a lot more points per se for what I'd be going into with that, but it's a solid core. So I don't know. It's some things I need to think about. I definitely felt like the Locust Heavies, the one or squad move. They're durable, they're tough, but they're not durable enough, and they're not holding the lines. Where something like the Scorpex could possibly be a better target to hold the lines. Scorpec Lords are nasty. We've seen that before. And again, like in this, I would be able to put them towards the lines. So you get close to me, I can jump through the wall and start fighting on your side of the field.
Yeah.
So something definitely I need to think about, something all over. I do like the idea of Scorpex over it and just keep the King and the Doomsday Arcs as the main fire support. And then it'd probably be able to then kind of dial in some more of my stuff around that. I think any Necron can take the -1 damage thing, so I could put that on a Scorpec Lord. And I think that's same for the enhancement for fall back and shoot. So those are things I could just put on Scorpec Lords and just now have something to have more momentum to go across the field. It's just some things I'll have to look into and think about. But I definitely feel like the combat aspect is where I'm weaker at. I don't really want to go into a Catan. I know that the Transcendent Catan would be good, but not really. I don't know if
you're not really a Catan player, are you?
Catan, you tell?
Yeah.
But for you, is there any changes you're thinking about for this after one round through?
Oh, I don't know if I wanted to try Librarius Conclave with the DeathWatch, just because I thought, like I said, the rules are a good combination with the DeathWatch Terminators and with the Fortis kill teams. And I think that's correct. I think that was accurate. I think they did well for what they were doing. But I really miss the uppy downies of the DeathWatch Black Spear Task Force. That's a huge thing. And obviously the double oath of moment's a big deal, and their stretch and stuff. So I might be interested in playing this in like Ultramarines or something with Gilman, so that I have 2 oath targets. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed in the Stern Guard, even though they were doing the dev wounds on 5s and get full rerolls into the oath target, because they just kind of whiffed a lot in this game, didn't hit very hard. But they still did work, and the Librarians
rare 5-up feel no pain versus dev wounds.
Yeah, that's always there's more of that now. There's more of that, anti-dev wound feel no pains these days. But I still think it's valuable. And I just couldn't get close enough to get into rapid fire range with the full unit, so I had to go kind of farther back and not be in rapid fire range, have fewer shots. So I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked the efficiency of it. I just wish I could put Stern Guard and Fortis kill teams into Rhinos. I don't want to spend 180 points on a transport for 10, 11 guys. I wish the drop pods were transport capacity 11 or 12.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why they're just 10. I don't know why every transport's got to be a pain with Space Marines. But it just doesn't quite feel like that. I know if I take him with Ultramarines, you can use Uriel Ventress to give one of those squads deep strikes. They don't need the drop pod. They just deep strike in with a full 10-man with a Librarian attached. They have the deep strike ability. So that might be fun. But no, I thought it was fun. I don't know. It's not going to probably be. I'm probably not going to take it to a tournament. I definitely want to know what you guys think, because I thought it was fun to play. I enjoyed playing it. But let me know what you guys think.
It was a very difficult wall to get through. A lot of 4-up involves. It was very tough to get through.
A lot of defensive ability.
And the terrain definitely helped too, with you being able to get those lines and just. And then it turned into, when you had a firing lane, I was able to shoot back, but that 4-up invuln was just a little too much to be able to get through with the Doomsday Arc. So definitely, I definitely going to mess with it a bit, see if I can't get a little more combat in there. I feel like that's where I need to go, and we'll see. I think this is I need to get a list ready for a tournament, so I'll probably play this again next week of some variation. I think I'm kind of on the Necron kick for a little bit. I could always swap over into Grey Knights. Do some of the stuff we're talking about with Purifiers.
I'll play this Librarius in your Grey Knights. I have a 4-up feel no pain to psychic attacks. That would be a bit of a skewed list.
That would be obnoxious.
That would be a skewed matchup.
That would be very annoying. But if I play Grey Knights, that's something realistically I gotta be prepared for.
Yeah, I think the Librarius is popular. There are Marine players. I bumped into one at the GT last weekend. I think people are going to run it because there's
just a matter of time to get it all dialed into what to use, what faction does it best, all that stuff. So, all right, we got another one in the books. I think that's about everything. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.